Early 6.
Well, I think he's going to have a breakout year. He's a solid player, and he brings it every night. And great shooting the basketball now with that right hand. He's going to have a nice year.
Elbow from Johnson against Alonzo G. Count the bucket.
5-point game. Just under 6.5 remaining. Second quarter. Joe Johnson knocks it down. His second field goal. Joe Johnson.
Up for the veteran Livingston. Swallow and Johnson. That's been a good battle tonight. Joe Johnson, for the first time, knocks down a shot.
Flush. Yeah. Only the second turnover by Brooklyn, and it results in some fast break baskets. But Joe Johnson comes right back and erases that for his teammates.
Allen Anderson in the game for Brooklyn. Johnson continues his torrid shooting.
This game helped build a big second-half lead for Brooklyn. Here's Johnson muscling into George, trying to use the size, shot it over him. That's a difficult veteran-savvy shot for Joe Johnson. Johnson backing in on Stevenson. Johnson ducks inside. That's pretty tough.
And a lot of options, not just guys who...
Right? All these teams are coming in here, and they're not buying the Kool-Aid.
Johnson, nothing but Johnson. 29-20 target this quarter. Doesn't surprise me if they go to him again. 92-90 Suns. Johnson ties it up.
Go in New York where he hit his left shoulder. Joe Johnson. No man can shoot.
Double digits.
Biggest first half leads for Minnesota, by the way, this year is Johnson knocks down that jump shot. Was
Demoralizing sometimes. Stuckey has the last 7 Detroit points. Here's Johnson getting the step, lays it up, in, and Plumlee looking for help, finds it in Livingston. Johnson, 19-footer is good.
Joe's smoking, so is Teletovic.
Raptors lead by 1 here in a minute and a half into this contest. Opening quarter here at the ACC. Joe Johnson sticks it in the first quarter is brought to you by 2 minutes ago here in the second quarter. Joe Johnson using a Plumlee screen and he sticks the jumper. And now Brooklyn up by 1.
Great defensive play. Moving those puppies.
Garnett gives it now short corner to Joe Johnson. 10-foot jumper and it's good. Joe Johnson.
5.5 to go in this first quarter. Nick Young is in there for LA. Johnson trying to fake him out. Tough shot. Joe Johnson.
The only win in that period, a win at Toronto on Tuesday. Joe Johnson unguarded, long 2. That's what Joe Johnson can do. Did not do it. And we're square at 19. Nets going to hurry, trying to get a 2-for-1. Joe Johnson. Johnson on the post up against Tony Allen, 10 to shoot. His turn and gun is in. So whatever was ailing that right knee, and now he's defending Joe Johnson. No easy task that. Got Tony up in the air. It goes in, and that's 4 fouls on Tony Allen.
We'll go to the other side. Johnson has the post up against the smaller man. And hits. Joe Johnson.
Yeah, you have to just love the way that...
6 points in the paint for Denver, 18 for Brooklyn. Johnson mismatched with Mozgov. Jumper on the way. He's got it. Joe Johnson.
Yeah, I think if Lopez is going to be subbed right now, I think you go back to him on the blocks.
Johnson, pull-up pop. Yes.
49-33 last season, second in the Atlantic behind the Knicks. And in the playoffs in the first round, they lost to the Bulls. Joe Johnson, that's a 2. Sean Livingston starting this second half. Joe Johnson able to knock it down.
You know, Joe Johnson to me is probably going to have to be that guy.
Few one-on-ones on the elbow like this.
Maybe he's seen enough Brook Lopez too. Less than a minute to play.
Joe Johnson working from the corner.
He can do it.
Arnett the screen. Johnson with 5. With 4. Johnson. Dagger.
Big timer from last year.
Nice rotation off to Joe Johnson. That stops an 8-0 run by the Clippers.
I'd also like to see if he's had the best seats in the house for how many years now?
Many since 1984. First of all, over in New Jersey.
Score from the field. He does have 5 points. All at the line. Shot clock winding down. Johnson. Oh! He connects! Joe! Williams doesn't take it initially. Finds Johnson. Ball fake. Pull up, pop. Book it.
I'm so glad he shot that. That right.
Johnson. Spin on Ariza. Fadeaway is good.
You hate to see that they can't get into an offensive set. But
a lot of white shirts in the paint area retrieving just then. They gave up the layup, but they didn't give up the rebound.
Lead feet to Johnson. Hits the jump shot. Joe Johnson.
You know, I just hate it. I just hate it for the big fella because I know he worked so hard to try to, come back and prepare himself for this season. And then
Indiana does not have a foul to give. Terry is really battling with Watson. Now a switch.
Yeah, now he'll get this shot off if he wants it.
He does, and he's got it with 1.7.
Hit 8 of their first 14. Johnson floats it up and off the glass.
That ball looked like it was going to come out.
Joe Johnson. That's just his second field goal.
Loses the handle under pressure by Jones. Will step back and score.
Joe Johnson. Once again, they call him ISO Joe because
Grant guarding the inbound. Ibaka picks up Garnett. Then they switch. Ibaka's got Johnson behind his back. He's up and fired. Scores!
Side. You got to get him out on that perimeter, keep him away from that post area.
On the other end, Ontich is defending Garnett. Johnson, the former Hawk. Down to 3:44 to play. Screen from Livingston. Johnson, shake, step back, bottom.
More efficient play there.
15 to shoot. Johnson the pull-up. He's got it! Joe Johnson! Johnson against Iguodala. The back end. The fadeaway. Book it.
And there's your crisp play you were asking for. Joe Johnson.
Shooting the ball well, but he's got to rebound the ball.
When they have a good rebounding night, they don't lose. So pretty move from Johnson, who's back in a bit of a groove last couple of games.
It's going to play off of him.
5 to shoot. Johnson, nice little spin move. Boy, is he in his zone. 7 for 7 from the field in the first quarter. Remember, he had that 29-point quarter.
I'm surprised they haven't gone to James on Johnson earlier.
How about that? Deflected pass goes right to the hottest guy on the floor, and he's 8 for 8. Drives on LeBron James. Good swinging of the ball. Johnson, the floater. His hot hand continues. That's his first shot attempt after scoring 22 points in the first quarter. Johnson backs in, leans in, off the glass. It's good. Joe Johnson.
Livingston gives it to Joe Johnson. 4 minutes in now to this first quarter. Here's Joe, and it's a 2, and Johnson connects.
Johnson with a mismatch here on Bargnani. Joe with the stare down jumper, and it's good. He's got 12.
Well, you know,
to the middle of the floor and understanding where shooters are.
Tobias Harris shooting 20% from three-point territory. Johnson, there's the confident stroke.
Joe going to work on Humphries with 4 on the shot clock. They call him ISO Joe, and that's why.
There you go.
He can do it when he has to.
And he does it real well.
A lot of time so far, Mike, but in the little bits and pieces, I've liked his potential.
Sitting out for a while as he was on the injured list. It's his 3rd game back in this 10 games. The fractured left index finger. Joe Johnson with the bucket. Yeah, nice shot by put in. Minute remaining in this first half. Here's Joe Johnson. Yes. Just his second field goal has
left. Johnson, left hand dribble between the legs. 4 to shoot, 3 to shoot. Step back, Jay. You know, that's a copyright as well. He's hit that shot for years.
It's a great one-on-one move, but I don't know if it was. But still was very, very good. He never had a drop-off, though, like KG has had this year.
KG just had a block on that defensive end. Ball goes out to Johnson on the offensive. Minutes left. Jazz riding the waves of 3 straight wins. Joe Johnson backs in on Marvin on a step back. Jay, tough shots.
He and Steph are working well together.
But when you're a threat to shoot from the outside like Clay is, he got one of those for him in the first half. They did a quick one there. Everybody's Jermaine is looking to get help here, but they spread him out. Joe Johnson loves to shoot the ball.
Wow, it looked like Nowitzki there. 1 foot fade away. Turned it over. Klay Thompson overthrown Steph Curry. Brooklyn looks for the tie. Joe Johnson tied it up.
For the second half.
It's Joe Johnson. Under a minute left here. Blazers trying to close the quarter strong. Johnson step back over Claver, hits it.
Boy, we've seen that a lot when he played with the Nets twice this year. They've averaged only 77 points against the Bulls, so it's a good start for them, but they have to keep working.
Joe Johnson on target. Shot clock's down to 5. 35 seconds left. Kick. Pierce, repost. Johnson. Shot clock winding down. The fadeaway. He's got it. Joe Johnson. On the bench with 4 fouls. Pierce, pump fake on a 3, swings it for Johnson. Didn't catch it cleanly, beats Butler. And the floater goes for Joe Johnson.
Nice fake. Johnson to beat the shot clock, rattles it home.
Well, they made him move the ball, and they moved the ball.
From deep. That's the difference in the game, 15 points. Johnson with another 2.
Yeah.
Rejected by Karolinko. Thornton finds Johnson. Johnson pull up. For 2. It's to Johnson. Johnson trying to get in the paint on Green. Pull up by Johnson for 2.
Boy, he measures up. Great scorers.
To honor that a little bit, and that gives Rudy Gay a good open look.
And the Nets answer right back with Joe Johnson from New Jersey over here to the borough of Brooklyn.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt, is there? I mean,
there's Johnson, a 3 ball.
Yeah, I've seen great crowds here. And
now it's Johnson posting on McLemore. Needs some help. Doesn't get it. And Johnson now has 16.
Yeah, he just has a lot of strength.
There's Joe Johnson. He's got it going now, Jerry.
He certainly does. That's a very difficult.
But he can play small forward. That's where he was. He's 6'7", and he's got small forward moves in the post. Cole for 3.
Joe had it stripped away by Harrington and gets it back. Now Wall is bothering him. 6 seconds. Wow, how about that?
And that's what Joe Johnson can do. I mean,
Nets season high for points in the paint for a game is 58 as Johnson buries the jumper outside the paint. Now it's 6 points, 4 assists. Johnson backing down, backing Tucker all the way down from the block, buries the jumper.
You know what happens when Joe makes his first shot?
The Open, Nets have 2 home games, could be as close to within a half game by Friday if they win their games at home as Johnson buries the fadeaway.
Well, it used to be that you looked at Charles.
And only for 2 minutes and 15 seconds.
So they're coming out at halftime, obviously getting a good warm-up. Joe Johnson kicks that one in. Okay, off the glass.
Think he called bank on this?
Yeah, they're starting 5, Johnson and Williams. Same starting 5 they began the game with. Thought about the backdoor line that was taken away, but yep, long deuce. Late close, Joe Johnson. But it turned out that way. Final 2 minutes of a 10-point game. Boy, Joe Johnson, yeah, he can fill it up. You can absolutely.
Johnson. Look at MKG. Stay with him. Johnson into the post. Fires. And goes in. Nice play by Joe Johnson.
Good 9 of 12 from the stripe. Here's Johnson.
21 attempts, though, from Minnesota.
Johnson using the window to tie this game at 72.
I think you're going to see Joe
behind. Little 4-on-4 hockey, as you like to say, Jim.
here's a guy who's going to do it all by himself.
Johnson, bang, with the slap shot. No kick save there.
Yeah, I like the way they did just that. They fought that off a little bit. Good screen again by Black.
Johnson, bam! Wow.
Just
Johnson and Williams, two-man game, 13 to shoot. Johnson over Parsons, count it.
You know, he's so good. You know, when you watch a guy play 6-7 run pick and roll, but Brooklyn's doing an excellent job. They're small, but they have length. A lot of guys 6'7", 6'8", and there's Joe Johnson. He's starting to feel it.
6'29".
That's 12 rodeo trips dating back since 2003. What an unbelievable record. Nice job by Joe Johnson.
Johnson cleaning things.
Joe Johnson. You know, you watch veterans like Johnson and Pierce, all that traffic around the lane, and they are so comfortable.
All right, Matt, 3 minutes left in this first half. With the shot clock rolling down, Joe Johnson.
Brooklyn had so many more field goal attempts after the first 3 games because they come up with those offensive rebounds and second shot opportunities.
Joe Johnson able to hit despite the
time. Joe Johnson. And that's off to a good third quarter. Out to Johnson. The all-star backcourt for the Nets. Dedmon guards Johnson, and a foul is called. And 20s, both teams the same. Both teams in the penalty. It's been a house of horrors over there. Yeah. O'Quinn.
Shot clock is down to 7. Teague makes his move. On a kick, Johnson, shot clock down to 2. Off the window. Go figure, one of the... Pierce, drive and kick. Johnson, fade away. Count it, it rattles down. A long two-pointer for the rim. Johnson, 4 to shoot.
He looked up there to see, he knows.
He always knows. Count it, Joe Johnson.
That's why you have to.
Still no field goals for Brooklyn here in the quarter. Joe Johnson gets it there, and Johnson is 5 of 7 from the field, 14 points. They went 4.
Toronto shooting it under 40% in the early going. Livingston looking to dish. Johnson finds an open Garnett. Spinning inside, finds Johnson underneath for 2.
Go! Put pressure on them!
Jason Kidd gonna like that rainbow touch from Joe Johnson, who has hit his first 3 shots tonight.
Brooklyn stepping up and playing well.
Johnson trying to free himself of contact, working on Salmons. The floater is good. A tough bucket for Joe Johnson.
Nets inbounds, Joe Johnson. Fires over the oncoming Lowry, and Joe Johnson.
He's on fire, and he's not going to force anything into a bad shot. He'll make a good decision if they run out.
11 in a row for Joe Johnson. Clock at 5. Joe Johnson again. This time the defense from Ross to the basket. Johnson made it. Big hoop.
Big. Takes over the role really of LeBron James as the first option offensively, but also the guy that's going to create opportunities for his teammates.
Here's Joe Johnson. Boy, what a player. Brooklyn needs something. Joe Johnson with Battier on him. And Joe Johnson hits for the Nets.
Did an excellent job discouraging and trying to hold Joe Johnson. Held him for 17, and that was difficult.
Switching with these teams, similar-sized players. Johnson rises up over Lewis. That's a toe on the tape, 2 for Johnson, who scored back-to-back field goals.
Able to get in is by driving on the baseline rather than down the middle like they did in game 1.
The back take by Joe Johnson is knocked down. And we've had 5 leads.
It's right on the money, mainly because Brooklyn during the season averaged 8 offensive rebounds a game. They already have 10 with 13 points. So it's
Mirza Teletovic time again.
Just keep an eye on the big fella. See,
that was back in 2009 against Orlando as a member of the Cavs. 45 is his career best as a Miami Heat. As Johnson comes right out of the break, hits the jumper, and makes it a 1-point game again. And with connect, Chalmers pulls down the rebound. And Wade catches it and is fouled. I think Chalmers was looking for the lob, and Wade said, maybe the Nets. That'll be a key stat the rest of the way. They're sitting on 10. They'll make it 12 for the game as James working inside. There's Bosch in his spot. And Bosch hits another one.
That matchup, because Kevin Garnett's kind of...
Johnson and James. And it's Joe Johnson again. 26 points. Gives him 16. Does Brooklyn have an answer now? Shot clock down to 3. James on Johnson. And Joe Johnson do it again.